Oh, I feel very awkward. Hello, my name is Louise and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I make videos about happiness, productivity and sustainability. It has been a while since I made a video because university stress, lockdown stress, etc. got to me a bit, but I am determined to make regular uploads over the summer, so please stick with me and just bear with me if I'm a bit rusty today because it's been a long time since I sat down and talked to a camera, and I have to admit I'm feeling very awkward about it, but we're going to power through because the only way forward is practice. And like I said, I really want to try and get into regular uploads this summer. There are loads of videos that I want to make, loads of topics that I want to talk about, and I'm really excited to be making videos again. So today I wanted to talk about motivation and discipline and try and help answer the question of which is the most important. When I first came to the StudyTube, StudyBlur, StudyGram community, I think everyone was talking about motivation. They were like, you need to be motivated, here's how to be motivated, here's how to find motivation, here's how to get things done, etc. I used to see lots of people using that kind of language. And then a couple of years ago, it feels like a lot of people, and especially a lot of my favourite creators, started saying that we should put motivation in the bin and that we should focus on being disciplined instead, and that we should use discipline to get work done because motivation is fleeting and discipline is more reliable. And if you really want to be your best productive self, you don't need to worry about motivation. What you need to worry about is discipline instead. And for a while I agreed with that. I went along with that, and I really believed in this trend of being disciplined instead of being motivated. But since then I've done a lot of thinking about it and it just doesn't quite sit right with me anymore. And so I wanted to talk about my feelings about whether I think motivation or discipline is more important when it comes to getting things done. So one of my favourite authors, a guy called Mark Manson, wrote a book called Everything is Fucked, and in it he made a great metaphor which I'm going to use to try and explain my thought process around this. So we often think about our brains as having two distinct halves. We think about having a thinking brain, which is rational, calm, does all the thinking, isn't very emotional, and then we have a feeling brain which is very emotional but is quite irrational and not very logical. Mark Manson in his book says to imagine that these two halves of our brains are little people, a bit like the Disney movie Inside Out, and they're sat inside of your brain and they're in a car and they're the ones steering you and guiding where you go. And the key part of this metaphor is that your feeling brain, the one that is emotional, is the one that's in the driver's seat and it's got its little steering wheel, it's driving along. And your thinking brain is sat in the passenger seat and it's holding the map. And that's the one that can see the map, it's got the directions, but crucially, it's not in control. The one that is in control is your feeling brain. That is what is pushing the gas pedal. Your feeling brain gets to decide whether to listen to your thinking brain or not and has the final say in where you go. Therefore, whatever it is we are trying to achieve, we have to persuade our feeling brain to get on board. No matter how much we yell at it, if we can't convince our feeling brain that where we want to go is a good idea, then we're going to struggle to get there. Or if we do somehow just force it to go where we want to go without our feeling brain being on board, it's not going to be a fun time for anyone involved. If our feeling brain is just driving along but it's super grumpy and doesn't want to go and it's putting up a fight, that's just not going to be fun for anyone, and what's the point in that? So this is where motivation comes in. Motivation is all about understanding why we want to do something so that we can get our feeling brain on board and excited about the journey ahead. Our feeling brain will not listen to arguments like sit down and study because you should. Instead, it will listen to arguments like sit down and study so that you can be one step closer to getting your dream job, or sit down and study because this piece of work is really interesting and you know that you'll enjoy it once you get started. The more excited our feeling brain is, the faster it will take us to where we want to go and the less it will be perturbed by obstacles along the way. We cannot get anywhere in life without motivation because our feeling brain is the one that's got its foot on the gas pedal, and unless we truly feel like we want to do something, we're going to struggle to get there. And like I said, if we do try and force ourselves to go somewhere without being motivated, our feeling brain is going to be unhappy the whole time and it's just going to keep throwing tantrums every time we hit an obstacle, and it's just not going to be fun for everyone. And what is the point in a life where you tick off goals but you're not happy? So what I've described so far might sound pretty doable. Just find true motivation and then drive towards your goals. But unfortunately, it's not that simple. The problem is that our feeling brain is very fickle. After all, its job is to be emotional. Left to its own devices, our feeling brain will give up every time it hits a small obstacle in the road. Every time we hit an obstacle, our motivation is chipped or dampened, or in some cases, if we hit a really big obstacle, our motivation just won't be able to overcome it. This can create a really vicious cycle where we come up against an obstacle and then we have to give our feeling brain a pep talk to re-motivate ourselves to get over this obstacle, and then it drives along and then it hits another obstacle and then the motivation is gone and we have to do it all over again. And while this method works, it's just exhausting. Imagine if every single time you come across an obstacle in your way, you have to give yourself this huge pep talk. It's exhausting and you're going to get sick of doing it, and so you're not going to do it and it's going to really slow you down. etc, etc. And so this is where discipline comes in. Discipline in my mind is about training our feeling brain. Firstly, we need to train our feeling brain to not give up every time it sees an obstacle. And we do this by forcing ourselves to just overcome these obstacles. And once we overcome them, we'll be filled with a sense of achievement and we'll realize that overcoming that obstacle was the right thing to do. And that will help to reinforce that message in our brain. And then the next time we come across an obstacle, it won't be so bad. And the other part of discipline is training ourselves to just get up and do things in the first place. If you're sat in bed feeling like you don't want to do any work, then your feeling brain is probably going to say, you know what, I would rather sit here and just watch Netflix. I'm having a great time. Please don't make me go and study. But if you can use discipline to train yourself to go and sit down and study, after you've done it a few times, you will realize that studying actually isn't that bad, and it will make you feel a sense of achievement, and it'll help you to achieve your goals. And just by being disciplined and repeatedly challenging your feeling brain, you will get into this habit of doing what you want to do, and your feeling brain will realize that maybe doing the work is the better option. I think what most people miss when they talk about discipline is that discipline isn't about telling our feeling brain to sit down and shut up. You can't just tie up your feeling brain and put him in the boot because he's the one that knows how to drive. You have to get your feeling brain on board. Discipline is about teaching our feeling brain to trust that our thinking brain knows what is right for us and wants the best for us. Discipline is about giving our feeling brain the courage it needs to tackle obstacles by showing it that on the other side lies a sense of achievement, a sense of productivity, and greater goals ahead. By being disciplined, we can teach our feeling brain that most of these obstacles are within our capacity to overcome. We can teach our feeling brain that these obstacles aren't something to be scared of, and that we should be excited about them because they're going to be fun to overcome. Discipline is about teaching our feeling brain to love the challenges that life throws our way. Instead of being put off by challenges and obstacles, we need to see them as fun adventures, if that's possible. The goal of self-discipline should not be deprivation in which we never listen to our feeling brain. Instead, it's about becoming a more stable person who is less thrown by obstacles and actually sees obstacles as exciting challenges. So in conclusion, which is most important, motivation or discipline? I fundamentally believe that motivation is more important because motivation is what will get your feeling brain to put its foot on the gas pedal, and that is what will help you get to be where you want to be. Motivation is so powerful. If we can be excited about where we're going in life, then it's going to be easy, and more importantly, it's going to be fun. And remember that no matter what you're doing in life, happiness should be one of our main goals. We should try and be happy in our day-to-day lives. We may get out of the car for occasional holidays or retirement, etc., but we're going to spend most of our lives in this car, on this journey. We work 40 hours a week, we do school, we do all these things that we don't want to do, and if we can learn to enjoy these things, that is the ultimate aim. And so motivation, finding ways to enjoy what you're doing, to feel good about what you're doing, should be at the forefront of your mind, because that will help you to enjoy life, and it will help to create this positive feedback loop of enjoying what you're doing more things, enjoying what you're doing more things. And that's why I think motivation is the most important of the two. But as I said, we need to remember that motivation is a feeling and that it can be fleeting and fickle. And it can be exhausting if we're constantly having to give ourselves pep talks to make sure we feel motivated. And so we can use discipline as a tool to help make our motivation more reliable, to help stop ourselves becoming put off by every single challenge that we face. We can use discipline to train our brain to just get up and sit down and study at our desk, because even though it doesn't feel right now, we know that in 10 minutes time, once we've started, we'll feel much better about the task ahead. It is far more practical to use self-discipline to train our feeling brain to trust our thinking brain, so we're not put off by every single obstacle we encounter along the way. And those are my thoughts on motivation and discipline. I don't claim to be an oracle or to know everything. This is just how I'm thinking about things at the moment, and I wanted to share with you what my thoughts currently are on this stance. Maybe in a few years' time I will have changed my mind again, but I think this is an interesting point of view, and it's the point of view that I have, so I wanted to share it with you. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you think differently. Which one do you think is more important? Do you think motivation is more important or discipline is more important? I would love to hear your answers and your reasonings why you think which is the most important. And as I said, I'm hoping to make a lot more YouTube videos over the summer, so hopefully I will see you again this time next week. Let me know if there are any videos that you want to make, because as I said, I'm going to try and make loads over the summer. I do have some ideas, but if there's anything you want to see, let me know in the comments down below and I'll see if I can make it. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Louise and you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Louise Does Life.